Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back to Universe X. This is the first video I've done after my box opening courtesy of Bandai. So I'm actually pretty hyped, and I'm in a better state of mind to just really go down this path. So real quick, let's get into the normal shoutouts before I go into the meat and potatoes. One, if you haven't been to the Facebook group already, you should probably check it out because it is the largest forum of information when it comes to this game. If you haven't checked out the Discord, you should probably check that out too, like UniX DBS Discord. It's actually Universe X. We talk about things that don't even have to be Dragon Ball Super. I mean, you could like League of Legends, you can like Digimon the card game, you can like Digimon video games, you can like Dokkan, Legends. There's just channels for different things. Gundams, there's a channel actually just for Gundams. So look, join it, you might meet some friends. I hope you meet some friends. Love the community. Next, just gotta give a shout out to my dude, Chris. If you haven't been to Spiral Maui Graphix, soon to be TCG Metals, you should check that out because the metal leaders he makes are fire. And just so that people don't forget, I am still giving away the Xeno Harambe metal leader. I just need to hit 1,000 subscribers first, and that will be hopefully sooner than later. And then lastly, wrapping back around, if you haven't seen it, Bandai did send me some Supreme Rivalry early to open up. And I'm very proud of that video, very proud of the moment. But if you'd like to peep it, the link will be down in the description along with the links to everything I just mentioned. So, jumping into the video. In the Dragon Ball Super group for Broly players, shout out to that one. It's a private group, but I can still try to put the link in the description. If you like Broly decks, whether you're playing Red Broly, Surge Broly, Dark Broly, like OG Set 1 Green Broly, any Broly that's about to come out, that group will always have home for you if you want to chill around like-minded Broly fans. So check it out if you can. But I saw a post asking, whether they should be playing Supreme Kai of Time, Space Time Unraveler, or Robelu, Dimmer's Secretary. And look, if you're a fellow player of culture, I'm not going to say man of culture because that could be sexist. I'm sure lots of ladies play this game and lots of ladies can appreciate the beauty with these two cards. But you're looking at two top tier waifus in this game. On one hand, you have Cronoa. Look, this video, it's not for the kids, but I'm not going to go into it. Cronoa is bae. But now you got competition. Robelu is coming through sharp, clean, in a business suit with a bomb effect and even more bomb artwork. And I know what some of you guys are just thinking, like, why choose? Why not both? Ultimate, that's why. Ultimate is a keyword that says your dreams can't come true. And you cannot run both of these top tier waifus in the same deck because you just can't. But I think personally, while this is still an opinion piece, this can also be very methodical and broken down. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over both of their effects, and then we're going to talk about some pros and cons to both of them, and then we're going to move into at least my idea on which one should be ran with which. So first one is Supreme Kai of Time, Space Time Unraveler. Now, she is of course got ultimate. She's 40k. Now permanent, if this card be removed from your battle area, remove it from the game instead. Activate main. 1. Choose this card and all of your opponent's battle cards and unison cards and send them to their owner's warps. That's cool. Then 2. Activate battle for 1. If you have 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand. If you do, your opponent can't attack with leader cards or unison cards for the turn. Okay, so that's actually pretty cool, right? And looking at Supreme Kai of Time, actually, it's not enough just to have her on screen. This card is beautiful. Like, she's amazing. And the thing about her, though, the pros to her are that, 1, once you have over 3 energy, she is a single energy for a 40k beater. On offense, she's optimally used on defense, but on offense, she is a 40k beater for 1. You can back that with a Champa, and she's 10k higher than your already big 30k Broly's coming in with Champa. Just that alone in a simplified game state can push you way over the top. But the other thing though is she destroys a board and she destroys unisons. And that is an effect that is sorely lacking in this game. Unisons have become more and more important as this block has come through. However, there's not a lot of ways to interact with unisons. And yes, you can throw a Champa on a Dark Broly, but I'm gonna let you guys know, blue may not be popular right now, but when you're facing blue with unisons that keep ticking up by 2 markers, yeah, your Champa's not gonna get as far as you think it's gonna go. Zeno will stay on board pretty much as long as he can. And if you waste 6 damage trying to kill a Zeno, then that's 6 damage that didn't pressure their life. And blue draws enough to see another Zeno. You look at yellow. Yellow can't put up the same amount of counters, but Mecha Frieza is going to keep that unison on board most of the game because Mecha Frieza has the disruption to stop you from swinging on it. You look at red, King Piccolo, you know, the Piccolo is a very, very good unison, and red decks have Violent Rays. Like, they will be able to keep you off their unison. So yes, you can Champa on a unison, but when that unison's getting 2 markers a turn, sometimes you will never be able to catch up without wasting entire turns to get off a unison that they could very well recast the next turn. So Supreme Kai of Time is a very, very unique effect in the sense that it destroys unisons. Now, yes, I have her, but I also feel like it's a little bit stingy to only put unison destruction on a secret rare. That's one of the reasons why she's so expensive. She can go and decide so many decks and she can cut off unisons. And for blue decks, that's backbreaking. For King Piccolo, that can be backbreaking. For yellow, I mean, if they're relying on Unison of Fury to keep you completely off their cheeks when you're playing Dark Broly, it can be backbreaking as well. So Supreme Kai of Time has a very unique effect that helps the deck very well. And then the other part is that she's got a very unique setting. When she gets played, your opponent cannot attack with leader cards or unison cards to the turn. Now, only a few leader cards gain things like double strike, well, dual attack. Lots of them actually gain double strike, but only a few of them gain things like dual attack. However, the other thing is that most unisons that are punchy will gain dual attack at some point in their effect. And to have a card that stops leaders and unisons attacking can be very, very detrimental to certain decks, especially if you like know your opponent's playing it or you think they're playing it and you don't sequence correctly. You know, you swing with a battle card first and they just combo out of it, but they also play Supreme Kai of Time. Cool, your leader can attack and your unison can attack. You just got robbed of 2 attacks. Now, the other thing that's actually pretty crazy is this card, SS Bardock the Tenacious. Now, if you guys have ever played against Mecha Frieza, when some of them opted to, well, a lot of them opted not to play Cell Xeno, they opted to play, you know, Supreme Kai instead for that board clear, for that unison pressure. Mecha Frieza had a very nice play of playing this card, but then nimbusing you. And at that point, you have 1 attack. Like, you know, you attack with a battle card, and, you know, they end up being like, okay, bet. Nimbus, discard. Okay, I'm gonna attack with another battle card, Supreme Kai. They can't attack for the rest of the turn with Jack. Now, you can't necessarily do that because you can't Nimbus on their turn in a black deck. But what you can do is set up with your Tenacious, and then the first attack that goes through, you can set up with this. And once you set up with the Tenacious, if your opponent is smart, they will always lead with a leader swing or their unison swing, because if you're smart and you have this, you're going to be windmilling this on the table to cut off the rest of the turn. But again, if they miss sequence, if they swing with a battle card first and you drop Supreme Kai, it is a pseudo Nimbus on Supreme Kai. You will lock them out of the turn. And that's actually a very powerful effect in a deck that lacks defense in ways that Dark Broly does. Not to mention that not only can they attack, but if they can't remove Supreme Kai off the board, they're going to lose their field too the moment you start your turn. So, a lot of stuff there. Now, we're going to move on to Robelu, okay? Robelu, Demiurge's Secretary, Double Strike, and Ultimate. Dark Overwhelm 8 for 2. Permanent, when this card would be removed from the battle area, removed from the game instead, so same thing, because black has ways of recurring, so you can't just let black black SCRs just exist in a vacuum where they can be, like, zoinked back into the hand. Auto. If you have 4 more energy, when this card is played using Dark Overwhelm, play up to 2 battle cards with different card names, energy cost of 6 or less, and the Overwhelm skill from your warp. Now, Auto, choose 1 card in your battle area with the Overwhelm skill and place it in its owner's drop area. When one of your opponent's cards attacks, negate the attack. Okay. So here we go. This has its own applications, okay? One, it is one heck of a finisher, okay? It just is what it is. Like, you can't get around that. When Robelu comes down on the board, your opponent needs a way to shut off your battle phase, or you're probably going to just body them on the spot. And you think about your options that you have in this deck to play, right? And I mean, the first things that come to mind, I mean, you can drop Dimera. You can just drop him on the board, and he's going to come out, right? And he's just going to be able to swing and start taking cards. So that's pretty cool. Another thing, I don't really see, people were saying, oh, well, this is a boon. But to be honest, if he comes off of Robelu, he's just a vanilla. He doesn't even get to refund cards. She's a 30k vanilla, in which case you could have just summoned a Dark Broly. So I don't really see that one really going anywhere. But the other guy is definitely this guy, because he will come out, and then for 1 energy when he swings, he'll be able to refund 6 cards to the graveyard or level up into the red Broly. And so you can make some explosive plays with Robelu. The other thing that's kind of cool is that she definitely is able to start negating attacks by placing overwhelm cards into the grave. And just with that turn, I mean, if you overwhelm in the middle of the turn, you're going to have 1 more fodder, but she's going to come up with essentially 2 negates. Now, the thing that's kind of a drawback, though, because Kai, I didn't really list drawbacks, because with Kai, there aren't really drawbacks for Kai. She's great utility, she's a unique effect, and she's able to come down and just do her thing. So you can kind of already tell what my bias is. Now, with Robelu, there are a couple other things, okay? The only drawback I can say to Kai is that Kai has to be, you have to have 3 energy, okay? You have to have 3 energy. Now, the thing though about that drawback is that it's much better when your energy is red than your opponent's. Because if your energy is red, you know, you're playing it on your 3 drops regardless. But if your opponent's energy has to be red, that means the card is significantly worse when you don't go first, which kind of sucks. But because you want cards that you can use while you're on the back foot, while you're, you know, in the lead, things like that. But with Robelu, you need to have 4 or more energy. And in a Dark Broly deck, generally your Awakening turn is 3, sometimes 4. So if you use it on your Awakening turn, that's going to be huge. But if you're using it, you know, on past that, like, I don't know, Dark Broly has a weird kind of vibe where it awakens and that's its most powerful turn. But then it has only like a 2 to 3 turn more, like, I'd say around 2 turns where it's at maximum efficiency. And then from there, you need to close up the game or you're going to peter out. Eventually, you can't keep up with the amount of Dark Broly's you're removing. Blue decks or control decks will start playing cards that are just better for yours, or better than yours for pound. So the fact that this has to be a turn 4 is kind of interesting. It's a card that is literally dead until you have 4 energy. And a Dark Broly player needs all their cards live from turn 2 to turn 4. So that is kind of a little weird. The next part is that your targets, again, just because the way the deck needs to be set up with 30Ks, you don't necessarily have a gajillion targets. Like I said, the Dark Broly and the Dimmer are probably your best targets. I count the mass Brainwash No More as just another body. He's not even like a good one to be brought out. The other issue is that this card doesn't have barrier, and a lot of decks already have innate destruction, but almost every single deck coming out in Supreme Rivalry has built-in ways to just point and blow things off the map. So your opponent doesn't even have to get rid of your overwhelms to stop you from negating. They just have to smoke Robelu, and she's completely vulnerable. If you do not close out the game, then you're not gonna just, you know. And while she is pressure, while she is a whole lot of things, she doesn't just come to the board and just threaten game immediately. She's not that monumental. She's savage, but not that monumental. So this is going to lead into my kind of, I guess, ending of the video, or the conclusion. When it comes to both cards, I feel like with your secret rare, you have to be very, very careful, because you don't, it's a one-of, so you don't want to depend on it, but your one-of should still feel very, very crucial whenever you can get it off. And Dark Broly, it can sometimes struggle with unisons, especially against blue, because blue will be able to protect him and yellow can protect him. Against yellow and blue, it's very hard to get these unisons off the field a lot of the times. especially with blue. But Supreme Kai offers something to Broly that Dark Broly doesn't have organically. Dark Broly doesn't have mass removal, and Dark Broly doesn't have unison pressure innately. So Supreme Kai fits two different builds. Two things that Dark Broly would normally struggle with, Supreme Kai just comes in and does single-handedly. Now, what does Robelu do? Robelu comes in to play on turn 4, and between herself and 2 other overwhelms, she makes 3 huge bodies. Which is fair. That can be overwhelming, but if you think about it, all Dark Broly does is make big bodies. Robelu is, in the words of Amani, we talked about this a little bit ago, Robelu is only adding more of what the deck does already to the deck. And it's coming down at earliest on a turn where it might be a turn too late, like momentum wise. Like turn 4 is a very massive turn for control decks. It's the turn they normally start trying to really stabilize. It's the turn that they can make a play and still have some energy open for a defensive play. So that being said, I think that Robelu is a win more card, whereas Supreme Kai, while she is a win more card, Supreme Kai can definitely take a situation that D-Bro would have not been able to work out before and crack it open to a situation that 100% D-Bro could work it out. Like, you gotta think about it. You could Supreme Kai somebody and turn off their prospects and turn off their God Ceilings. You could Supreme Kai time and bait out a God Ceiling so that another card can actually work if you're using it offensively. Supreme Kai of Time can blow up, a Vegeta Unison of Fury. It can blow up things that inhibit you. But Robelu, you can play Robelu and then swing into a Violent Raise and nothing still gets through. All the things that D-Bro is still weak to, Robelu is still weak to. So, personally, I think that we should kind of gravitate more towards the card that gives the deck an edge that it didn't have before and wouldn't have without it, period. Robelu is nice, and there are some decks that she definitely fits in more, but I just don't necessarily think Dark Broly is the home for it. I think Supreme Kai is still where it's at. If I get a Robelu, I'll probably hold on to it though, because why not both is my mantra right now. Like, I definitely like both waifus. So, that being said, thank you for sitting by for the discussion. Like I said, I have like mad SRs and some SPRs too to give away. I'm still kind of wondering whether or not I want to give away the Demigra Unison, because I did win first place at my second pod for draft, or for constructed on the pre-release. So I have a SPR Demigra Unison, and I'm wondering if I should put that in or not. But just let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think about Robelu versus Supreme Kai. I'd love to hear your opinions. And yeah, this has been another hopefully successful discussion video. If you like the content, think about subscribing. The road to 1,000 is going strong. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Later.